Sony's Xperia Z is in the office, and we're going to see if it competes with the Samsung Galaxy S3, the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, the One X, the Droid DNA, and all those other hot high-end phones that are either out or are coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com. This is the full video review of the Sony Xperia Z. Sony's Xperia Z was announced at CES 2013 earlier in the year in Las Vegas, and this thing is finally available in some markets overseas. We purchased this from Negri Electronics, so special thanks to them. NegriElectronics.com is the site to go to if you want to buy one of these right now. Now, it's important to note this is the Xperia Z. The ZL is available on Sony's website. Coming soon is what they're saying right now, but it looks like the LTE bands for that unlocked device will work on the US LTE bands on AT&T and on T-Mobile when they get LTE. So keep that in mind if you're looking at this to bring over to AT&T or T-Mobile and you're thinking, man, I really want some LTE action, if you will. You need to get the Xperia ZL as opposed to the Xperia Z. But this is the Xperia Z in the house and packing some really awesome specifications, and it goes head-to-head in a lot of ways against Samsung and Apple devices. And the reason why I say that is because Sony has an incredible ecosystem. Sony has an incredible ecosystem much like Samsung when it comes to TVs and connected appliances and washers and refrigerators, all these different options that they make. Actually, Sony doesn't make refrigerators, but you get my point. Sony makes a ton of different electronic objects. Samsung makes a ton of different electronic stuff. The ecosystems are very similar. Apple is obviously looking to branch out into a couple of different areas as well. The ecosystems are very similar, and Sony's got to play here in the ecosystem department because in 2012, that really is, in my opinion, the most important thing in a smartphone purchase is the ecosystem. It's going to be most important as we move forward over the next couple of years. Specs-wise, this thing is nothing to scoff at either. It's packing a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU, a 5-inch 1080p HD display, a 13.1 megapixel camera on the back, with all my greasy little fingerprints and 1080p HD video recording. It's got a 2,330 milliamp hour battery in the back, HSPA Plus connectivity on AT&T and T-Mobile. Like I said, this one does not support AT&T's LTE bands, but it does have Android 4.1 with Sony's user interface. So not really calling it Timescape anymore, but you can really see some of the elements of Timescape when you dig deep on both of these devices. So again, 13.1 megapixel camera here, power button over on the right side, volume rocker, and this thing really exudes an industrial look and feel. You've got your volume rocker, your power button, and then over here you've got couple of different areas, your micro SIM card slot, as you can see right there. This is also water resistant and dust resistant, so keep that in mind if you're looking for a device that can weather those occasional drops or weather that occasional dust storm, if you're in an area with a dust storm perhaps, or if you're in an area, you drop a glass of water on it or it slips into a puddle, this is going to be a device for you. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up top as well, and then you've got your charging port over here on this side, and then you've got your micro SD card slot right here as well. Wireless charging on the side, and then down at the bottom, nothing, but really a nice industrial build. Compare this to something like the Nexus 4, which has a very similar build. Lots of glass, lots of beautiful build quality, and then of course the One X polycarbonate. A little bit different in the look and feel department. Pardon my voice, I'm still recovering from a cold, so I've got some sniffles and got some other stuff going on, some junk in my nose, so bear with me on that. But you got Android 4.1 with Sony's Timescape UI, no carrier installed applications here, but what you do have is a beautiful 5-inch 1080p HD display, and it's really evident. The camera doesn't do it justice. It's evident when you got this device in person and you're looking at it in comparison to something like this, or perhaps an HTC One X, something with a 720p HD display as opposed to a 1080p full HD display. So you've got this notification bar, you've got your shortcuts up top. So again, comparing this to an older Sony Xperia device, the changes are subtle, but it still kind of looks like Timescape. I mean, you can see those elements here. You've got on-screen buttons, back, home, and recent applications. Press and hold home, though I will say, out of all the Timescape-y type UIs, or out of all the Sony UI evolutions, this does look the most like stock Google. So they're kind of doing what Motorola is doing, kind of progressing back to stock Android. So out of the box, some Sony applications here, as you can see. You've got Album, and you've got really, again, an ecosystem here, and I can't underscore that enough. We'll talk about it more in part 2, but you've got that. You have Movies, you have Office Suite, you have McAfee Security, Media Remote, Let's Start PSM, Play Memories Online, Smart Connect, Social Life, Sony Select, Update Center, Walkman, Video Unlimited, a lot of different choices, Wise Pilot, Xperia Link, and more, all of which we'll cover in this full video review. So let's start and take a look at messaging here, and we'll load up this one right here, a little spam message that I got. So you can see how the messaging interface looks and feels, and you can see the keyboard, the on-screen keyboard. You've got the Xperia keyboard right here, 5 inches again, incredibly fast from portrait to landscape mode, but I want to focus again on the typing experience. We'll say the Quick Brown Fox. Happy that it is the weekend. So incredibly easy to type on here, minus that one extra W. Let's pull down and remove that. So you can see how text messaging looks. And when I send that, you'll see that I can change the colors. And obviously, you've got a couple of different color choices here, a couple different themes. They do offer some relatively decent personalization on the Xperia Z. I can come down here, for example, keyword not recognized. Oh well, display, and I can come down to theme and change the theme in the wallpaper. So I have it on amber right now. I can change it to emerald. Green is my favorite color, so I'll change it to emerald. And you can see the wallpaper changes and the overall theme changes as well. The colors look different. The overall theme changes, the wallpapers, all of that stuff. And then when I turn it off and back on, you can see that the lock screen wallpaper has changed also. So again, just a beautiful display. And I can go into settings and change these individually if I want to. Go out from storage. We'll go back into display. I can go to, not sleep, I can go to wallpaper and take a look at Xperia wallpapers. And I can say, you know what, I really want this to be my wallpaper. Well, I can do that and still maintain that emerald theme, but have a slightly different wallpaper. Let's also take a look at the internet browser. Again, HSPA Plus connectivity on AT&T is what I'm working with right now. We'll do a full video test so you can see what that looks like. We'll go in here to phonedog.com. Running the Chrome browser, as you can see right here. Again, very fast all around. That quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU really working hard here with 2 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, this is a fast device all around. Specs-wise, this competes toe-to-toe with the Nexus 4, the Galaxy S3, the Note 2, all the different high-end devices on the market. And then pinch to zoom, of course, very responsive. So this device is fast, as you can see, all around, little to no lag whatsoever. And of course, got your Gmail stuff. I just want to show you, I'm doing a couple of different things here where you can see from portrait to landscape how fast all around this device is. Something else I want to highlight here, you've got your recent applications, but this is kind of a play from the Samsung playbook, if you will, with how they've got these applications within recent apps. So down here, for example, you've got calculator, you've got, I can't remember which one this is. Let's see. We'll find out. Timer, and then you've got Notepad, and more. So basically a little bit of a multitasking option in recent apps. So I can type a note and say, hey, and then when I get rid of it, it saves it to the Notes application. And I've got this as well. I can do a voice recorder, and I can bring all these up if I want to. Actually, I take that back. I can only do one at one time. But I've got my Notes option. Now I can add additional ones. They're called small apps. And I've got some installed ones, which obviously have 0 that aren't installed and running down here. So I can go to Play Store, for example, and download one of my own. They've got kind of an ecosystem around these small applications. So for example, we'll say, how about Toggle Switcher for small app? We'll go ahead and download this, and we'll install it. And then you can see it'll go into the small apps folder, Toggle Switcher, and then it's right there. And then, of course, I can just swipe over to access as I get additional ones. I can bring up the toggle. And let's not delete it. Let's see what we can do here. Oops, no, I did not mean to do that. There we go. Sorry about that. Toggle is here, and then we can branch it out. And again, a little bit of a formatting issue, but you get the idea. Again, multitasking, it's something people are asking for more and more, particularly with these features that come with Samsung's Galaxy Note 2, the Galaxy S3, a lot of these newer devices where multitasking really is key all around. So 5-inch display for a lot of people. I think this is going to be a decent sized device. Compare this again to the Nexus 4, and you can see it's a little bit boxier, a little bit bigger than the Nexus 4. And then in comparison to the One X, you can see it's also boxier and larger. So the industrial design, very reminiscent, at least in terms of overall design, to the Apple iPhone 5. Though obviously there's some dramatic differences between the software itself. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Sony Xperia Z full video review on PhoneDog.com.